Well, well, well. Welcome in, and thanks for joining the Heelcast for this debut edition of Goldberg's Gripes, where I will share with you a couple issues or problems I am having with the current wrestling product, which, if you've ever listened to us before, you'll know that is probably not a tough thing for me to do. Um, I may be known as the resident hater around these parts when it comes to the heel cast. So coming up with a couple things I don't enjoy this week, certainly not a difficult proposition for me. Um, so before I get into it, let me just say I'm Goldberg. These are my gripes, and I have no relation to the wrestler, Bill Goldberg, the legend, Bill Goldberg. However, we do have the exact same initials, so who knows? Maybe that counts for something. Um, and one more quick shout out to our boy, fellow heel cast member RVE, aka Raven, who has recently returned to the heel cast in a strong fashion, if you will, with the return of Raven's Rants, which has stole the show. And some people would say I might be trying to piggyback off the success of Raven's Rants, and yeah, those people would probably be right. I probably am trying to do that. So RVE, Raven, keep them coming, killing it. So yeah, keep them coming. All right, so let's get into it. My first gripe, I think there's no other place to start other than Cody Rhodes and The Rock. And it's just such a difficult thing to decide where to start with when it comes to this topic because obviously, the main gripe I would have, and I think a lot of other fans would have, would be Cody just handing The Rock this match and giving up the main event. And why would Cody want to fight Seth Rollins? None of it makes any logical sense. And I've tried to hold off on judging where this is going, because you would think that it's going to change, and it has changed on a daily basis, and with each passing show, because you read every day that WWE's aware, they know what's going on, they know The Rock is being booed. Well, they didn't anticipate The Rock being booed, but they knew that the fans would be upset with Cody Rhodes just giving up his shot. And here's the part that bothers me. Um, First of all, Cody Rhodes and the finishing the story. Um, I know I've had this discussion with Hurls, fellow heelcaster, a couple times, and I'm as sick of the finishing the story as Hurls is. It is just, to me, the finishing the story quote does nothing but expose the business. Um, and it needs to just stop being said because here's the problem. If Cody Rhodes hypothetically finishes the story at WrestleMania, the story's over. The book is done. We read the last chapter. It's closed. Who would have any interest? When the book ends, what do you do with it? You throw it out. So who cares if Cody finishes the story? Let Cody wants to win the title, great. That's the beginning of the story for me. Now his reign is the beginning of the story. But let's put that aside for a second for Cody and The Rock. Cody handing The Rock this shot against Roman Reigns makes no sense in probably about a million different ways. But the main place where it makes no sense is the idea of Cody winning the Royal Rumble. Everyone knew if Cody wins the Rumble, he's going after Roman Reigns. Why would The Rock, if these plans were set beforehand, not just win the Rumble? Be a surprise entrant, come out, whatever, 30th. Now, we don't need Sami Zayn as a surprise entrant at number 30. And I probably should have recorded a gripe for the Royal Rumble because, my friends, that was the worst Royal Rumble in the history of Royal Rumbles. there was not one interesting thing in the match. And I'm going to go off on a tangent real quick because I got to get this off my chest. I was texting with a friend during the Royal Rumble, a friend who's a casual viewer, not a niche viewer, if you will. And we were texting during the women's match, which I did not enjoy, and I know a lot of people did enjoy it. But here's my thing. Here's my opinion on this. He texted me, "Hey, it can't get much worse from here." And my response was, "We'll see." Well, guess what? It got 100 times worse from there, to the point where people thought the women's rumble stole the show, and it was awful. The only good thing about it was Jade Cargill debuting. I believe she got eliminated in the final three, I think by Liv Morgan, if I'm not mistaken, which in itself is stupid because Liv should not be throwing Jade Cargill out of the Royal Rumble. I think there should have been another way to go about eliminating Cargill, but she debuted well. It was a good debut, and that was probably the only major thing. I guess Jordan Grace, who we know around the Hillcast, we have no interest in. Um, I'll get to her in a little bit, but yeah, it was so the men's rumble was so bad that it made the women's rumble look good. That's how bad it was. How do you have a men's rumble not bring back one legend, which I think Xbox name was floating around? I don't know how many more years he could consider entering the match. To have no legends come in, no major returns, just nothing interesting. A chalk. It's almost like if you watch the NCAA tournament every March. This would be the equivalent of two number one seeds making the championship game. It's not interesting. It's nobody cares. Will it draw? Probably, but it's just where's the intrigue? Where's the mystery? There were rumors about Gunther maybe, but we knew that wouldn't pan out. So CM Punk and Cody Rhodes being the final two was so beyond predictable. And what an anticlimactic finish, just the last elimination. Um, I guess CM Punk was hurt, but just an awful Royal Rumble, which is the one pay-per-view I look forward to every year, and just horribly put together. Horrible, a horrible pay-per-view overall. So God, my bad. I had to go off on that and really give my opinion on the Royal Rumble because it was that bad. So overall, why wouldn't The Rock be in this match? Which leads me to believe WWE's got something else going on. We're all being worked. They cannot be that stupid. Or could they? I don't know. But my gripe, again, would be in the moment Cody randomly giving up his shot to The Rock. It just to fight Roman Reigns, if you will, because obviously I guess Cody's going to fight Seth Rollins, and like Roman Reigns mentioned, why go for the lesser title? Why do you want to be the lesser champion? It doesn't make any sense, and that's certainly not finishing the story, if you will. Um, so yeah, none of it makes any logical sense. Um, I do think plans will change. And I don't know. Here's the problem: is WWE is in a lose-lose situation because if Cody Rhodes legitimately hands The Rock over this match, and this match goes on, no matter the outcome, it's going to look like a bad decision to the niche WWE crowd. Okay, I'm putting aside the regular crowd and obviously the fans who are going to return to see The Rock. Um, who haven't watched wrestling in a long time, which I may fall into that category in some regard because I am not a regular watcher of WWE anymore. But having said that, here's the other lose part of that situation. Okay, because if the match goes on, it's a lose to the niche crowd. If Cody joins back in the match, which I do think is a probable chance of happening, then it's also a lose for WWE because you're going to have the fans saying, "Oh, well, look, we did it. Our backlash, our booing. We got Cody back in this match. We want Cody. It worked. The plan worked." And whether WWE already had a plan when they started this, which you have to again think they did, because you can't be stupid enough to book Cody to win the Rumble and just hand the match to The Rock. You just can't be that stupid. So I think it's a lose-lose. No matter what, the fans are probably not going to be pleased, which, hey, really probably describes the modern fan anyway. Never happy. Um, except for the AEW lunatics who seem to be happy with anything AEW does. Um, I'll save that rant for another day, or that gripe, if you will, for another day. I'll let AEW off the hook tonight. So yeah, again, I think it's a lose-lose situation for WWE no matter how this turns out, whether Cody's in the match or not. If he's not, again, it's a loss. If he is, it's a loss because the crowd's going to think they had something to do with it. But again, my final opinion is I think that WWE had this planned out from day one, and they know what they're doing, and there's still plenty of time before the Royal Rumble. So we'll see if it turns out to be right. We'll see if I turn out to be right. And Cody is in this match in some regard, um, because personally, I am okay with it the way it is. Okay. Now, here's where, if you're listening, you probably disagree with me, but I have no problem with The Rock fighting Roman Reigns. That is the main event of WrestleMania. This is not a regular pay-per-view. This is WrestleMania. And if The Rock wants to come back and main event WrestleMania, by all means, he is more than welcome to because he's earned that respect. How many guys left have earned that respect in recent years has certainly dwindled down. Hulk Hogan was on that list. Obviously, he can't physically go anymore. Ric Flair would have been on that list. Obviously, he can't go anymore. Shawn Michaels may have been on that list. He can't go anymore. I don't think Triple H was probably on that list, which he wouldn't be too happy with that opinion. But I don't think he'd be on that list. The Undertaker probably on that list, but doesn't look like he could go anymore. So that list has come down to The Rock and what we saw last year with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I don't know what shape Stone Cold's in anymore. So how long is that list of anyone who wants to come in and main event and immediately draw viewers? It may just be The Rock at this point. Um, I like to compare it to somebody who's the channel changer? Who can go to any company at this point and you're turning the TV on to watch? And now that Sting is retiring, and again, you have no Hulk Hogan, The Rock may be it. He may be the only channel changer left. So why would we pass up? Cody has plenty of years left. Why would we pass up seeing The Rock main event WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, who they've built up to be this generation's Hollywood Hogan, if you will, with being a heel and holding the title for as long as he has? I mean, it just, it's not something you can pass up. Cody will finish the story another time. I mean, it could happen next year, whatever. However, I do think it happens this year, like I said, but we can wait. It can wait. This is the last chance that probably we'll have to see The Rock in a main event, nonetheless, at WrestleMania, and you don't pass that opportunity up for an icon or a legend like The Rock. So I'm fine with it. I will order maybe I'll order the pay-per-view. But I will certainly be watching in one capacity or another. I guess you don't have to order pay-per-views nowadays um, with Peacock. So, but regardless, I will be watching. And I think having The Rock in the match in any capacity is the right move. Okay, so on to the next topic. My next uh, gripe, I guess, would be the major news today that broke on TNA. Who, if you've listened to us, you know I'm giving them probably a 43rd chance to show me that they can come up with something that would make me want to watch wrestling again on a regular basis. Because, like I've mentioned, TNA in its peak, about maybe 10 years ago, was the last time I consistently was able to tune in to a wrestling show every week and be excited to watch it. So that's what I'm looking for again. And so with the reboot of TNA, it's given me a little hope. But my biggest concern was the booking. Would it change? Impact going to TNA? And with the same people in charge, the answer was probably no. So my gripe with TNA was we're probably going to get the same old stuff. We're going to get the same champs. We're going to get the same people being pushed. I want to see the old TNA where they build stars, where they take people and Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Robert Roode, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, where they take guys like that and turn them into main event players, Abyss even. And that's what I want to see again. Take these guys and build it from the ground up again. Let's start over and build it from the ground up again. And I was very concerned that it would be the same stuff. And then today, boy, did we get some news that Scott D'Amore is out as TNA president. And man, is that shocking for so many different reasons. Because, well, one, the passion that Scott D'Amore has shown with the recent reboot of TNA, to think that he wouldn't be a part of where it's going is just it's nothing short of shocking. He seems to be the reason why TNA is being brought back. He's he showed no signs of this happening. I mean, I did see something on Twitter today where the promo he cut after the Josh Alexander and Will Ospreay match, where he said, if I go to the back and die right now, or have a heart attack right now, whatever he said, I don't remember the exact wording, is that he's so proud of what he's done and that TNA's back, which somebody on Twitter was saying that could be some foreshadowing, which I don't I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but overall, the idea of Scott D'Amore being terminated today is just it's news I certainly wasn't expecting to see. But like I said, my gripe with TNA was I was worried about the same booking. So here's my opinion on this, and it kind of compares to my opinion with The Rock and coming back to WWE, and I'm going against the grain where I'm happy with that result. Is I like Scott D'Amore. I love his passion. Um, I have respect for what he did with Team Canada. I have respect for his entire background in the professional wrestling industry. But for me, him being terminated today, I don't think it can be a negative. I think it can only be a positive. And here's why. Scott D'Amore's been behind the booking of women beating men, which, if you've listened to the Hillcast, we're not fans of. Um, we're not fans of intergender matches. I want reality back in wrestling. I want realism. I want to believe it's real again. And Scott D'Amore was giving us, X Division guys fighting heavyweight guys, and it I'm glad he gave Moose the title. I've been clamoring for years. Moose should be representing this company. But I think this could only be a positive because TNA needs to be rebooted. It needs to not be a continuation of Impact Wrestling. Scott D'Amore was booking Impact Wrestling. We need a reboot. We need an entire completely new regime, a new show, new people being pushed. Let's build it from the ground up. Let's start over and let's get our next generation of Samoa Joes, AJ Styles, Robert Roods, Chris Sabins. Let's get the next generation going with a mixture of established guys. And unfortunately, the established guys now in this company is not going to be Sting, Kurt Angle, Christian Cage, and those kind of guys. It's going to be people like Eddie Edwards, who's been around a long time. It's going to be Josh Alexander, who's been around a while now and seems to be at the top of the class, although he's still a young guy and he could probably have a few more reigns with the title. But you have Chris Sabin, you have Alex Shelley, you have Eddie Edwards, you have guys who have been in this company now for years. So those are going to be your veterans now that are going to help put over the next generation. And I like again that Moose is representing TNA, but as much respect as I've had for Scott D'Amore and rebooting TNA and bringing it back, I wish he could stay in some, be a manager in some capacity, but obviously he would not take a demotion at this point. But yeah, for me, booking wise, I think this could only be a positive thing for TNA. Let's see something different. Let's get something else going. Impact didn't interest me in the last 7 or 8 years, so let's get something else going. So yeah, I don't want to harp on it too long, but to recap, my main two gripes this week are the Cody Rhodes and The Rock situation, which I do have to say, I do think will be handled properly, and I think was probably already planned to be handled properly. And my second gripe this week is the probably the backlash given to the Scott D'Amore termination because, again, I'm not against it, unfortunately. I want to see how it turns out. So let's see how these couple gripes turn out this week. Once again, thanks for joining the Heel Cast. I'm Goldberg, and these were my gripes.